On August 15th, 2013, we had the opportunity to speak with Mildred Ross, creator of the 5-Stage Group and an influential member of the OT community, to ask if she had any advice for future occupational therapy students.
Well, I feel that you have to be ambitious, you want to study all the things, and it isn't only ambition to give to others, but ambition to learn a lot, because what you're going to learn is very valuable. I wish you hadn't asked that, because that is my most provoking question. I think the OT is so suited to mental health that there is no better approach in terms of treatment for mental health. But of course you can do poor treatment too, but if you're really directed to working in mental health and you enjoy the subject and you, aside from whatever you know, if you just apply even a goodwill, which is a very good attribute to have in mental health, I think OT applies it the most and the best way. Yeah. I was educated at a very good school like Columbia University. We learned crafts at the College of Arts. We went to the subway and got down to the College of Arts and learned how to weave on a floor loom and learn patterns, and the final exam asked us for how do you do the different patterns, and it's very hard for somebody like me who has a poor memory thing to pass anything like that. But most of it was learning, for example, the chemistry that goes into the clay, excuse me, in pottery, the liquid that you would use on the pottery. You had to learn what was the chemistry of that, and you learned design, and I mean, these were things that you used for 5 years afterwards, and then in the 60s, everything changed. And crafts were not what you would do with clients. And I spent the rest of my life, learning different ways to approach clients. So yes, there's a great deal of difference from the early way of looking at OT. Just to keep somebody busy was not. Getting back to your first question where you said how you treat people. When I was a student and when I first worked, you got soldiers coming back from the Second World War. And I could spend 3 hours with those soldiers, or 4 hours if I wanted to, with any one soldier. They had an amputee, and they were learning how to use their new appliance. And you might want to do typing, you might want to do some little woodwork with them. You couldn't do it in half an hour or 15 minutes. The constraints of what an OT has now is not to be compared when you think of the changes that have come about. Who could, as students and even workers, we spent all the time we could with anybody we wanted to and thought we could help. So OT has changed and changed with the constraints of the present production laws in every field. OT has developed through every decade, and I traced in my autobiography. It has changed, and it should change, yes, according to what the needs are. And today I was just excited about reading in the Advance magazine of a woman who had both her arms amputated and had real arms attached to her. And it took her months and months to acquire the ability to use the nervous system and the touch system, but she's making progress. And she's helped every inch of the way by hours of occupational therapy for months, for years. You know, what you can do with young people who can bend and push and stand, you can't do with middle-aged people. And how do you see this in different age groups? You have to, and also different eras. Oh gosh, you've got to be aware of the era that people are born in and their interests. You have to do that. But you have to honor where they come from and what they want to do and all that kind of thing. It's easy to want to do the most for somebody, but what if they are not quite ready for all the ambition you have? Mm-hmm. It's easy to misunderstand somebody. I was thinking of a person in a group, and he was always making a problem in the group, and he disturbed the group and everything. And then I had given everybody some paper to do something with, and at the end, 3/4 of the way, I saw how all the paper had been folded and crushed in his hand and everything. And I realized, watching him, that he couldn't do any of the things the other could do. And I said, God, he's dyspraxic. And just think how disturbed that inability to handle the hands affected him. And I felt ashamed that I hadn't, urged him to do something that I knew was driving him nuts. And it affected the way he treated others and kept him isolated. And he was a mental health, he wasn't a mental health group. And so I think you make mistakes even if you try your best. I really am glad to be an occupational therapist and urge anyone who is inclined